share to my own share to a page, and we're going to share to the business page, because that way other people can share it. Okay, we have hit the going live buttons, Joe. Is that pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is very exciting. I'm just thinking I might open up on my good old trusty phone and see what I can see.
So let the
because I'm too scared to have anything running on my, on my laptop, just in case things go pear-shaped.
Yeah, we don't want that happening. Okay, so it says we should be streaming live to the business Learn Connect Network Do page, so the Facebook page.
There it is.
There it is. Oh, I got to share it. There we are. Hi, Joe. Oh, look at us both sharing at the same time. So we're going to write a post. We're going to pop it in the group.
We're such dags, aren't we?
We are such dags. Give us technology and something new to play with. We are live.
Oh, dear.
Talking.
Oh, distracted by the shiny stuff. All right, go.
I know. Okay. Now we'll do the official stuff. How does that sound? Okay, thank you everyone for joining us this morning for our Demystifying LinkedIn webinar with Joe Saunders from Wildfire Media. Joe and I have known each other virtually for many, many years. One time we will actually land in the same city and get to actually catch up with each other. Love the red lippy today, by the way, Joe.
Oh, well, thank you. I just posted a video yesterday. I realized that I had no lipstick on and I just looked really, whoa. Yeah.
Yep. No, red lipstick saves me time and time again. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do today is, put your hand up, put a message in the chat, and just let us know where you are in your LinkedIn journey so that we can get a bit of a feel for this. If there's anything that you want to know today, then this is your time to ask the questions. Why we have the expert in the room being able to help us understand how we can make more out of our LinkedIn profiles. Mark Grant says no expert for sure. I don't think I am either, Mark. I love playing and I've played with LinkedIn for a long, long time, but I'm sure I'm going to learn some stuff today. Because I used to use it as a recruiter back in those days, Joe, where I used to find candidates on LinkedIn.
And a disclaimer here. I mean, while we're saying I'm an expert, I mean, I spend every day in LinkedIn digging around, pressing buttons, uncovering rocks, looking for stuff. But I'm not, by no means, I don't call myself an expert really, because you can't be. It changes way too fast.
Exactly.
But I guess the definition of expert these days is someone who just constantly stays up to date and as much as they can do.
Yes.
And look,
yes. Part of it, guys, is just consistently getting in there and using it. Some people might say I'm a Facebook group expert. I'm just a Facebook group expert in the way I want to run one. In the reality.
Well, you are in my book though, as a group expert.
I am in your book. I know. How cool is that?
Because you do run a really successful group, and I like to identify people doing stuff well. So yeah, just as a side.
Yes, I know. I've got in other people's books this year. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, guys, look, for those of us who are joining us for the first time, our webinars are very conversational. Joe's going to run us through some tips. We're going to keep things going reasonably smoothly. We welcome questions every chance we can get. Now, I may not see those questions on Facebook today. I'm going to try and keep up with the live feed on the business page, as well as keeping up with chat here to keep Joe in the loop. We're going to stay in the side so you'll get to see what's going on behind the webinar as well as we share stuff. And I welcome and I hand over to Joe now to start sharing her screen and sharing her amazing knowledge with us.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for having me. Now I'm just going to work out the technology if I go share screen and then go full screen, or whether I go, because yeah, let's just do that. It's all good. Share screen, and I'm going to go
full screen. It should then take over.
That one. I once ran a webinar and I shared the wrong screen. Yeah, let's not do that today. And so they saw my notes screen. So let's just go from there, and hopefully that'll work. So you should be seeing my slides full screen, my opening screen.
I can see your slides full screen. It's all working perfectly here.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to run through slides. Obviously, I'm in full screen mode now, so I can't see any chat. So obviously, if there's any questions, you'll let me know.
Up in chat.
But yeah, feel free to jump in and ask, because sometimes it's good to ask them at the time, Yep. And that's how I run my workshops. So all good. So yeah, we're demystifying LinkedIn today, starting at the beginning really. But hopefully, even if you're using LinkedIn, you'll hopefully get some tips from it, because often we think we're using it effectively or we're set up effectively and there's things we're missing. So we'll jump through them all. So I just start with where LinkedIn fits in the digital landscape. I mean, this is constantly changing as well, with all the different platforms that appear and all the different parts of the platforms, even like seeing Zoom having Facebook Live connection. That's pretty cool. Really exciting to be trying these things.
Might be coming.
Well, actually, just talking video, actually, LinkedIn's now got video. It's not live though. There's no talk of live, which I'm in two minds about where it fits, because LinkedIn's a professional platform.
Yep.
Whereas Facebook is as well, but more, and it's just a bit more forgiving, I think. Whereas LinkedIn, it's not quite your boardroom.
No, but it's not forgiving.
But it's professional. You've always got to keep in mind which hat you're wearing. But with LinkedIn, the things that tend to work best are when you're being conversational.
Yes.
So conversational with context. Just as a side. And this webinar is probably going to go off on a tangent at times because that's just the way things go.
And the two of us don't tangent at all.
Oh, yes, exactly. So LinkedIn's one of those platforms that it's not the center of everything. I believe your website is still pretty central, because your website is something you've got more control over, and all the components, which include your list. But LinkedIn, I believe anybody in business or any professional should have a LinkedIn profile. It's what you do with it that's going to change. Because it's your online presence, it's your story, it's your brand, it's your personal brand, it's your professional brand, it's everything. It's just not about, your social life and what you do on a weekend, but we'll get to that.
Oh no, what we have for breakfast, come on.
Unless you're a chef and what you're cooking for breakfast, that's the only time food belongs on LinkedIn, if you're in the food industry. Same with religion and politics, they don't belong on LinkedIn, I don't believe, unless that's your business. Yep. If you're in it, if you run a church or you're in politics, then sure, talk about it. Otherwise, just be careful.
I'm the same on Facebook. You know our rules around that, guys. The BBB rules are pretty strong. There's no religion, there's no politics, because it's such a divisive topic.
Well, that's right.
And you can lose clients over something that they don't need to know about.
Well, that's right, because perception's everything. Which I'm going to go through and we'll have a few laughs in a minute.
Yeah, beautiful.
I mean, any platform in the social media, environment is all about being found, being remembered, and being chosen. I mean, particularly LinkedIn, because you're there to be either sell something, sell yourself, find a job, enhance your career, start your career, change your career, whatever it is. It's about career, but it's about being found by your target market, your ideal client, your ideal employer, being remembered, and then being chosen. Now, most people, think about creating a profile. That's helping you be found. So there's certain ways to do that. But if you're not using LinkedIn, and it'd be interesting to see how many people on the call are active on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if you can do.
Let's try and see if we can do a poll. Let's see if I can add one here.
I obviously can't see it because of the way I'm running my screen, but
that's okay. Let's see if I can add one, and we'll see if we go.
Actually, something's flashing at the top of my screen. Maybe I can see it. I don't know.
If you click down the bottom, roll over your mouse.
And now I can see the. Now I can see the chat. Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to see who's using LinkedIn right now. I'll just be curious as to seeing.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm thinking that we're going to get this poll.
Yeah, I'll keep talking while you're doing that. So feel free to jump in. But yeah, it's about using it on a regular basis, because you want to be well branded. You want to be consistently using it so you're in front of your ideal clients, but also building your network, connecting to people that you want to know, and then having engaging in content, sharing content so that people know you for what you know, what you're an expert in. Whether you are starting out or whether you're way in your journey, you're building your expert in a particular area. So that's where it sits. So I'll let Linda run that poll while I'm chatting away.
See how we go. Okay. Are you active on? I can launch polling now. See, guys, we're learning everything here.
There we go. And I can even participate. Am I active on LinkedIn? I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there.
Well, I know there's some people that should be clicking the getting there option.
I'm just looking. Hosts and panelists can't vote. Well, that's.
Oh no.
That's a bit biased. I assume it presumes I
assume we might be active on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes. Well, that's something I say to people who are brand new to LinkedIn and connect to me. When I run training, I always tell people, connect to me and learn from me. But if you haven't got many connections, I'm going to take up your entire newsfeed. So apologies in advance.
Guys, and that's the big thing that I would actually say to everyone. Let's pop our LinkedIn links within the chat box today so that everyone gets a chance to actually grow and network in LinkedIn. And if you're watching it on the Facebook page, which we've currently got 10 people watching us, Joe, live on Facebook as well.
Excellent.
If you're watching it on the Facebook page, put your LinkedIn feed in the comments as well, so that we can come and follow you and you can connect with us throughout the process, because part of this is about building your network and actually getting to use LinkedIn.
Well, that's right. And if you're quite new to LinkedIn, it's a nice, safe way to play if you're just connecting with people within the BBB community, because the people that get you and you can sort of do a bit of
Guess
practice.
what this weekend's Let's Connect thread's going to be? It's all going to be about LinkedIn.
Excellent.
Okay,
excellent.
I'm just going to end the poll. We have got 67% of our users active on LinkedIn and 33% of them currently visiting with us at the moment. And I can share those results
Oh,
too.
there we go. How exciting.
That are using LinkedIn. No one's getting there at the moment, so that's not a bad thing. So we're starting to head under the way. So there we go.
Yeah,
I'm going to stop that
stuff.
one now and let Jo go back to being able to run her webinar.
Excellent. So this is LinkedIn's mission, to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. So I like to share that because it's, like I said, it's about your career, it's about business. So have a think about your LinkedIn profile or your LinkedIn presence. What is your mission? What is it you want to achieve from LinkedIn? And where are you on that ladder? Yep. Is it about building a presence? You're starting out. Is it about building a profile for yourself? Is it about getting new clients? Is it about new leads and referrals? So where is it? Where are you in terms of the journey? So it's good just to know what you want to achieve from it, and then you can measure it.
Awesome.
Now, in terms of the business to business space, if I suppose many of you work in that space, if you look at the entire, social media, what am I thinking of? The leads that come from social media. So, and these stats come from Octopus. So any leads that come from social media, 80% of them are coming from LinkedIn, according to their stats. So it's pretty high. That's for business to business. So business to consumer, completely different, obviously. But business to business, it just makes sense to be in LinkedIn. So you got to think about how you're going to stand out in this massive crowd. You've got 500 million people in LinkedIn now. It's constantly growing. So there's a lot of competition for views. And if you're an accountant, you're a financial planner, you're a lawyer, whatever you are, you're a home-based florist, whatever you are. You want to make sure that you are on brand, because if you just sound like another lawyer, another accountant, you're going to blend in. And I certainly don't believe in blending in. I believe in standing out for, building your brand, but for the right reasons.
Yes. Not
the wrong reasons.
No, all for the right reasons, guys.
All the right reasons.
I've got a few clients in this webinar, and they will sit there and go, so that's why she's been nagging us about the images have got to match, the brand's got to match, everything's got to match.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I'm going to go back to, if you think about when you're searching now, if you're not using LinkedIn actively, and even if you are, we natively go to Google to search.
Yep.
So, and talking images and why it's important. So if you think about Google searching, if you Google search your name, now this is a search of my name. I'm not signed in, so there's no bias, but I just wanted to demonstrate the power of LinkedIn. Now I've got a nice website. It's fairly new, but it's active. But LinkedIn outranks my website every time, and it's number one in the list for just purely my name. So we're not talking keywords here. We're just talking purely me. Nice. And Joe Saunders is a pretty common name, but that's pretty cool that my profile comes up first. I have got my name as in the URL, so that really helps. Mm-hmm. My website's next, Facebook search next, and then if you scroll down, the red one is an external website that I'm listed on, and then my YouTube channel. Now that's coming up the list today because I put a new video on. So that's the power of LinkedIn. It ranks high in Google for your name and for keywords once you work it out. Then you've got the video tab. Obviously they're all YouTube videos. But if you go to images now, this is the same as Google search, logged out. All these orange highlighted images are me. The one in red, which is my third rank across, is my LinkedIn profile. So I just wanted to show the power of that, the search on LinkedIn. Interesting, the first one here is an old photo of mine, and I realized that profile needs updating. They've updated their website, and I've just gone, okay, I need to fix that. So it's on brand. And if we scroll down, you can see all these orange images relate to something to do with my brand. But this one down here, if you can see me moving my mouse. Actually, can you see me moving my mouse?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. I was looking at the wrong screen. That's this webinar. So the fact that the link to this on your website is ranking. So yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's obviously a few other Joe Saunders in here, but I just wanted to show the power of images, your LinkedIn brand, and and where it all sits in Google. So now if we go back to making a good first impression or building a profile, I've created this model called, all around this what I'm calling the circle of social business. And it starts with understanding who your ideal clients are. So you want to create what I call a customer-centric profile. Understand who they are, what problems they have that you solve, what's important to them, and that sort of thing. So when you write your profile, a lot of people start with them. You know, I'm the #1 best-selling blah blah blah. I'm the, you know, I'm the Australia's LinkedIn demystifier, #1 best-selling author. Blah blah blah.
Of course
blah,
you
all
are.
those things. Well, yeah, but do my audience really care about that? Not really. I mean, yeah, they do at some point, because you've got to prove yourself.
Yep.
But you want to start with your audience and the problem you're solving. So always start there. Then you've built your profile, which I'm going to go into in a little bit more detail. Then we want to think about the connections. How are we going to build your network of connections? Who are you going to connect to? And more importantly, why are you connecting to them? Because that question often comes up. Should you connect to every man and his dog? Should you be specific? Or should you be like one of my clients who he can say he's had coffee with all his connections?
Wow.
But then he's very specific, he's very local, and that's just one of his
way. Yep.
It's not for everybody. Certainly I can't say that.
I'd love to if we did that way.
That's right.
BBB wouldn't exist.
Well, that's right. So it all depends on, yeah. And that's a fairly limited view as well, because you want to connect to people that you want to meet. I mean, I'd love to meet you in person, and that's going to happen soon.
We'll land in the same city sometime soon.
That's right. And then once you're building a network, and the next one is to look at the content you're sharing, because you want to be known for the expert that you are. So sharing content, engaging with content in that area. So what is that? And then finally, building a community. And I mean, BBB is obviously a community. There are groups on LinkedIn. Now, I'm not really talking about groups so much, because groups are pretty much not dead, but they've become a bit of a desert island on LinkedIn. Yep. They've been, they're off in a particular tab. You don't really see them, and they're really unengaging right now.
That was a good question, because I had asked when we originally started BBB, it was asked to me, why didn't we start a LinkedIn group? And I just felt that to get the traction there, we had groups for other businesses. To get the traction on a LinkedIn group just wasn't happening.
Yeah. And that's pretty common. There are a couple that are very active, but they tend to be a post and dump ground, which is unfortunate. So it's great if you're wanting to monitor content and research content, if that's a source of content, fantastic. But in terms of engagement, because you're just not notified anymore, you've actually got to go into groups and actually look around. It's really antisocial. So I'm not saying ditch them completely, just don't put much effort into them right now until they're revived. Facebook groups are just awesome. I mean, if you look at the comparison, there just isn't any. Which is interesting. I've got a few LinkedIn trainer friends, and they run their support groups on Facebook. It's crazy. So yeah. So,
but it's what happens. It's where things go. We're running the marketing challenge for next year, and the support group's going to be on Facebook, because I am there and can see most of the stuff and comment to people from my phone a hell of a lot easier than I can anywhere else.
And just the integrations. I mean, Facebook plays nicely with a lot of platforms. I mean, even playing with Zoom, the fact we can Facebook Live, through Zoom, which is awesome. I mean, you just can't do that sort of stuff with LinkedIn. It's like someone saying, nope, you just stay in the corner and behave yourself, really. But it's getting better. But groups certainly just, join them, use them to find people. They're great for finding new people, and you've got something in common with them. You can connect because you're in a group, but in terms of engagement, So that's we'll park that for now. But let's talk about profile building. So before I get into profile, as I mentioned, you really need to have a few things clear. So those foundations, and I like to call them values, vision, and voice, the three things you need to know. So if you think about your ideal client and also yourself. So if we think about yourself, what are your values? What are your core values? And you've probably gone through this in business, but make sure that you're really clear on what it is that's important to you. So that's who you are now. And then looking forward, what's your big vision? Where are you going in your business? Because you want to have that sort of as your guiding light for whatever you do on LinkedIn. And then finally, what's your voice? Are you going to be very conservative, or are you a bit quirky and out there? Because you got to think about who is it you're trying to attract, who do you want to meet, and who do you want to build that relationship with? Because if you're being really conservative on LinkedIn, because that's how you believe the platform works, but you're not that person, you've got a mismatched hairstyle, you wear odd shoes like I do. I'm often known for wearing Ugg boots in public with business attire. At the shops generally, not generally business networking, although I have done that for a day. If that's your brand and you're being something different on LinkedIn because you believe that's how the network works, and you're not being authentic, and you won't build those relationships. And
you're not going to get the right clients that are going to fit you right. They're going to be the hard work clients, because you've got to be a different person to who you are when you work with that person. It's just not worth it.
That's right. And I think it's important to understand that not everybody's for you, and you're not for everybody, and be okay with that, because that's just how life is. So yeah. So getting your values, vision, and voice crystal clear. And I believe this relates to any social media, any type of marketing, but particularly LinkedIn. And then you've got your backstory, your expertise, and this is your building your profile, building everything that you've done in the past, your education, all those experiences that are part of your professional brand.
Jo, Lynette's just said that she thinks that's what stopped her from going on to LinkedIn in the past, because her business personality is a lot more relaxed and quirky than it was in the corporate world. I know Lynette's brand. Yes. Yeah. Your stuff will be really, really well received. You're branded, your information's out there. If you do nothing else today, make sure you start using LinkedIn. It's an awesome brand. I'm pretty sure you've seen that Hits and Bits is an awesome brand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard her speak. Yeah, absolutely, Lynette. And the fact that you are who you are, because I've met you as well, and you are a little bit quirky, which is awesome. So celebrate your quirkiness. I've got my 3 Qs I work with as well. And when I work with clients, I actually say to them, what are your quirks? And they look at me like, and these are corporate people too, and they're like, oh, I don't have any quirks. No, they don't. Everybody's got quirks, and that's what connects people. We're looking for those things in common, or those things that you go, oh wow, that's interesting. Don't be afraid to bring them forward. Obviously, if you've got any quirks that are a bit way out there, keep them to yourself. Within your personal, and it comes down to personal brand. People connect to people that they like or respect or are interested in or intrigued by.
Yes.
I mean, your brand, Linda, I'd call you quirky in your own way, because you've got so many ideas and your energy's awesome. And but if you on LinkedIn wrote like you spoke really slow, low energy, it just wouldn't match.
Never going to happen.
Just no.
And guys, to talk about power of LinkedIn, I put one LinkedIn video up this morning for the 52-week marketing challenge. I've had an order come in already. I haven't checked email since, but I had an order come in already and that's particularly where I'd marketed something this morning. I didn't change my video style for LinkedIn. I just popped the same thing out there, because the network that I used to work with in recruitment or wherever who've liked me on LinkedIn liked me for the fact that I used to bound down the phone at them when they were looking for their candidates and all of that sort of stuff. So they're still used to the big, smiley, bounding, high energy person out there. Someone the other week said to me, oh, would you calm down in your videos? I'm like, nah.
That's not saying, would you just change your personality? Well,
I'm like, that's awesome. I could calm down in my videos, but that's not going to work for me and my client base. So that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, you're going to scale it slightly, but it's always going to be in the realm of you. And only who you are. Initially when I started out in business, I thought I had to be this professional person. And to the point that my first professional video I had done, my mum watched it and she said, I liked your video, but who did your voice for you? I went, that was me in my professional voice.
That was my professional voice, Mum.
It was like pulling teeth. It was a horrible, not the experience. The videographer was great, but just the fact of doing video and having this perception of who I needed to be.
Yep.
So now I'm just me. I'm a bit crazy, a bit out there. And, if you don't like it, that's okay. There are other people that can help you.
Exactly.
It's all good. There's plenty of business out there.
Fantastic.
And you want to connect. Yeah. So the other part of your profile this is now the client facing side. Understanding your clients, what problems do they have and what outcomes are they looking for that you can provide. So having that clear as your map allows you to build your profile, and it will guide you to, in any conversation you're engaging with or sharing on LinkedIn, because from all this, you're going to get those keywords that, we hear, talk of keywords and SEO. Well, SEO applies to LinkedIn as well. It's not as sophisticated as, say, Google, but you need to understand the words your ideal clients are using to infuse into your profile so that you come up in search. And I showed you Google search on my name, but if you were doing Google search on a particular, phrase, for example, that you're known for, you want to be coming up, and LinkedIn is going to help you come up in search. LinkedIn has an algorithm just like Facebook does, just like Google does, but and it's constantly evolving. It used to be really clunky. People used to do some keyword stuffing, so they put their title, social media marketing expert, on every role in the past, even like 20 years ago when it wasn't a thing.
Oh my gosh!
And then the description would just be a phrase repeated. That's not how to do LinkedIn, but in terms of being found, it worked.
It worked.
Another hack at the moment that people are doing, which actually breaks the user agreement, is putting a tagline after your surname. That's a big no-no, because if you've read the user agreement And if you've read the user agreement, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to know if Penny's actually read. I read them all the time because I like to know where the boundaries are.
I read the Facebook one all the time, but I think I might be, I don't know.
And actually, I don't read that particularly often. I can't remember the last time I read it because, while I teach people a bit about Facebook, it's not I don't go deep into Facebook. But LinkedIn, I make it my business to know what the rules are. The sad thing is, though, that,
no, mine isn't after my surname. Yay, I'm safe. I knew I had stuff in there, but I didn't know if it was after my surname or not.
No, well, there is a space to position yourself, and I'll go into that. But doing it in your surname, you're taking a big risk because LinkedIn might ping you for it. But at the moment, they don't. A lot of people break the rules and don't get pinged, but they used to, and they might start doing it again.
And
so
the
it's just a
same
bit of a
thing
risk.
applies with the Facebook user interface, guys. For anyone watching this, you have to use your real name under the personal profile to be within terms of service. If you use if you put a middle name or something like that in, that's fine. But if you use a business name or tag your business name onto the end of it, and they think you're using your business profile, your personal profile for business primarily, then that's it. Everything goes. Your Facebook pages go, the whole lot. And the same will happen with LinkedIn as well. Once they start picking up and pinging people for it, that's it. It's too much of a risk to take.
Well, that's right. And with the with artificial intelligence and machine learning and it's just going to get more automated. So and you don't want to lose your profile, especially when it comes to your LinkedIn profile, your connections, all that sort of stuff. So don't do it.
Over 10 years of work in mine.
And well, that's it. We put a lot into it. And if you're following some of there are LinkedIn experts who do these things. Just don't follow them. Just know you've been in the webinar, it's not right.
Also, we're not going to break rules today.
No. I mean, I'm certainly not a rule follower blindly. I want to know the rules so I know what the boundaries are and what the risks are, so I can know, I break that one? Now, one of the other ones with LinkedIn, talking first impressions, we've talked about Google Images and the importance. Think about how you go to a physical networking event. If you go to a networking event with a bag on your head, like Sarah, my lovely assistant who posed for this photo, then great. Wear a bag on your LinkedIn profile or don't have a photo. But if you think about how we connect, we're looking for that face-to-face connection. We're looking to recognize people. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile photo is a representation of you in business.
And up to date.
Up to date. And if you work from home and you work in your PJs, well, maybe don't put a photo of you in your PJs, but then don't go and wear a fancy suit that you would never ever wear, and don't, get your makeup done and hair done. Unless it's just you on a good day, but don't go way over and, glam model, those type of images.
But the thing, guys, to think about all of these photos is people look for you. So they're looking for the up-to-date photo. So, part of my trademark, Joe, as you know, is the red lipstick. So all my brand photos and all my professional photos have the red lipstick and all of those things in there. But it's up to date. I remember last year I think you might have seen this photo where I dyed my hair really dark and just had a little bit of blonde in it. I went and did a training session the next day and people go, I didn't know it was you. That's 2 days, from me booking the session to going and doing the training. Apparently, dyeing my hair dark was enough but it was enough to trigger people to not know it was me and not feel comfortable, not feel comfortable, but to maybe approach the room with a little bit more caution when they were coming into it, working out whether it was a presentation. So it's really important to look at those things, guys, and go, are my photos up to date? And, you might have looked awesome 10 years ago, but if they're not going to see you as you were 10 years ago, that's not the photo to use.
That's right. Unless you've got a really good, plastic surgeon or you're doing Botox or something.
Yeah.
Don't recommend it, but we're each their own, whatever is your thing. But and also without a photo, you're 21 times less likely to be clicked on. I mean, that's just a fact from LinkedIn. Cool. So you want to have a photo, but it's picking the right photo. So we're going to have a bit of a laugh here, but you've got eight seconds to make a first impression. I mean, we're busy. We're scanning the news feed. We're scanning, Google results. So you don't want to have, now this is a slide one, unless you're Matt Preston or someone of that caliber, cravats on LinkedIn or a bow tie. Unless it's your brand, wedding photos, not good.
Not a good one.
Cocktails where there's drinks or you're hiding behind a logo. All these things break LinkedIn's user agreement, particularly the hiding behind a logo.
Yep.
Plus, we can't see you. If it's your crew, it's a group of you and we don't know which one's you, especially if they're all the same sex. Couple photos. I mean, I trained a financial planning firm recently and one of the guys had a photo of him and his wife. And I said, that's a really lovely photo, but does your wife come to see your clients with you? Is she, that was my point. It's LinkedIn. It's not
Yeah.
Facebook, you know. And same with kids. You know, you see some photos of people and their kids, and that's really lovely. But think about what it's saying. Yes, it might say you're a family man, but unless that child is coming to your interviews with you and you know, just think about it. Why are they there? Do they even want to be there? And then these are just some of the common mistakes we see. I mean, if we quickly grab a photo, if we've cropped out the other person, and suddenly we've got this extra hand just grabbing your arm, whatever.
Yep, that's a bit weird and creepy.
You know, a guy with a snake, unless you work with snakes, I don't know why you've got a snake on your profile. And the guy at the bottom who's nude, you know, put your clothes on. And interestingly, he's a university lecturer in the UK, and that was the photo he chose. I'm not sure why. And ladies, if you're in a strapless dress, think about it. Just think about it. I've done it myself as a challenge, just to demonstrate what happens, but you're naked. You don't want to be naked on LinkedIn unless you're the guy at the right. Now, the guy at the right, I haven't blurred his photo out because you can probably guess what he does. And he's not a fireman. He's a model, yes. Yay! So this photo is perfect for him. Yeah, he's showing a bit more flesh, but he's a model and he's on brand. So it works. Mm-hmm. Same with, I had another colleague who was a personal trainer. She had a photo of her in a gym gear, her sneakers over her shoulder, wearing like a crop top, but it was very modest and very much on brand. And it just said what she did straight away. Same with the photographer holding a camera.
Oh gosh.
So if you've got a tool of trade, hold it. But don't do car selfies. I don't know what it is with car selfies, people. Don't do it. As soon as there's a seatbelt, it looks really weird. And also another one for ladies, cleavage. I'd just be really careful, unless it's your brand and you're owning it. But I think one of these ladies is like an office assistant, and I just think, why? Yeah. So yeah, just don't.
As a recruiter, we're looking at recruitment marketing and looking for candidates. It's all part of the impression for the client's brand that we're looking at too. So your clients who are looking at it, this point of view are looking at it going, is that person a match for my brand? As much as quirky is great, they're looking at that image going, is that going to match my brand? So it's about, I think, I can't stress this enough, guys. There are some amazing photographers out there that will get you a good series of brand headshots, all digitally done. Some amazing ones inside BBB. It's an investment that you use time and time again.
Yeah. And I always mention photographers. So it's always great when I do training and there is a photographer in the room, because a lot of people, especially females, get really hung up on the image, I'm not very photogenic, blah, blah, blah. But that's why you get a professional to do it for you, because they are going to bring out your best side. But then again, by the other side of the coin, you don't need to invest a lot of money if funds are tight or you're new to business. Just get someone to take a photo of you, plain background, or even a background that kind of communicates what you do. So if you're, you work outdoors, being outdoors, that could be as simple as it is. But don't disregard your photo, because it does, it says a lot and people are making a judgment. So when you're doing a search within LinkedIn, or if you say you've done a Google search and then you go to LinkedIn, so whichever way you go, you're going to come up in the search results. And the things that come up are your name, your photo, and your headline. So here's an example. So I've just done a search for effective meetings. These are 3 people that come up. I know all of them. So David at the top here, he's number 1 for the results. He's got these keywords in his profile. But I just want to show this because these 3 photos represent their brand, their names there, and their headline. If they had a really dodgy photo here or no photo, I'd probably just, pass them by. So you want to make sure you're looking professional, because that's the impression you're making. So you want to make sure that you're clickable, and your headline needs to be clickable. I'm going to go through headline in a second, but once I've found you, then I'm going to click and then go to your profile. And this is where we really make an informed decision. So you want to make sure that you're on brand on your profile. So you've got, like I said, your profile photo, you've got your name, you've got your headline, you've got a summary, and I'll go into all these things. And then also you've got your background image. So this background image at the top here, unlike Facebook, whenever you make a change on Facebook to, any cover images, it drops into the newsfeed. You can put text on it. LinkedIn is slightly different. It's a background image. It has no function other than to brand your profile. So you want to use it. So if you've got the blue image with all the little connected lines, that's the default image. Get rid of it.
Time to change it out.
I saw a LinkedIn trainer locally who I've never heard of her, but she's doing LinkedIn training and she's got the default image. And I'm thinking, why? It's a no-brainer. You don't have to.
Allows you to do a LinkedIn cover within 2 minutes now that's sized perfectly.
Yeah, that's right. So you can create something on brand. You can put your logo in there. Or in this case for David, he's a professional speaker. It's a photo of him in action. Now, I happen to have taken that photo. He's a client of mine. So I said, here, use this photo. It's better than nothing. But, so it doesn't have to be highly professional. It just has to demonstrate, communicate what you do. Show your brand, something about even just show some personality. You might use it to show what you do outside of work. So if you're into, I don't know, extreme hoverboarding, that could be a thing. Have a photo of you doing that. I recently fell off one and fractured my hand. So that's
how you did it.
Yes, being really clever. Yeah. But it's about storytelling. So if you can use an image to tell a story or to incite some curiosity, go for it, or go brand it. So that's just, the first impression. So you've got seconds to make an impression, and you want people to read your profile. You want them to scan your profile. So we start with headlines. So we've talked about your name. Your name just needs to be your name. You can have an acronym, if you've got something after your name, like an MBA or CPA or something like that. That's okay. But headline, you want to think about, are you findable? Is this going to help you get, come up in the search? And does it communicate what you do? So are you findable? Are you visible? So if you look at the first one, business owner, if you've just got that, there's no context. We don't know what kind of business you run, what problem you're solving. Even the second one, conference speaker, workshop leader, author. Once again, we know what they do. We know how they deliver their services, but we don't know what they talk on. We don't know what problem they're solving. Third one, this one actually uses keywords and the business name. It talks it even uses the area, so it talks to the audience. So if you think about your LinkedIn headline, does it communicate you well? And unfortunately with LinkedIn, every time you add a role, there's a little checkbox that's ticked by default, and it says, do you want to update your headline to match your title? Now, if your title is, say, business owner, now I wouldn't even recommend using that as a title on your role, because it doesn't help. But if you've just got director, consultant, something like that, and you update your headline, you've kind of devalued yourself in a sense, because it's a positioning statement. So think about what it is you do. So I've got a couple of formulas to create them, but the first one is simply this. It's quite, it's fairly similar to the LinkedIn default. So your title, your expertise, and your company. So by default, LinkedIn will add your title and your company.
Yep.
But you want to add in something in the middle if your title doesn't say what you do. But also your title doesn't need to be your role. So if you're a partner, or you're the director of your company, or the CEO, and a lot of people in small business, particularly solopreneurs, will say they're the director of their company. Well, they may be, but that doesn't help your audience. So think about what is it you do. Yeah. So think about what problem you're solving. So here's the example. So your Mount Lawley property paperwork whiz, so a little bit quirky, but also using exactly what they do. And then the next one, settlement and conveyancing agent. So they're keywords that people are looking for. And then the business name. So that's one example.
Perfect.
The other example you might want to use is, I help target audience X achieve result Y by services Z. So very also simple. So it's kind of like your online elevator pitch in a sense, but in 120 characters, written in a way that to be found, but also to communicate very succinctly what you do. So going back to, actually, let's go back to the previous slide here. So if you come up in the search results, and you've got this statement here to say what you do. Now, depending on LinkedIn at the time and where you're coming up, some of it might be cut off. Yep. So you want the first first few words to kind of say what you do really succinctly. So if I just go to mine. So mine at the moment says LinkedIn and content strategy to brand and grow your business. Actually, that's not my current one. I've changed it. Connect, convert Australia's LinkedIn demystifier. Now, I could start with Australia's LinkedIn demystifier.
Yep.
But that's not what people are looking for, firstly. I mean, no one's looking for a demystifier. It's not really a search term.
Not a search term, really.
I mean, it might become, once I keep going.
Pushing it out there. Yeah, we might use it all.
Well, that's right.
Everyone attending today might become a demystifier of the industry.
That's right. But it's just not a common word. But I use that. I mean, it's what people call me, say that I do, and what people are calling me. So I've now gone, well, I'll own that then.
Yes.
But it doesn't talk about, clearly the problem that people are searching for. So generally people are looking for LinkedIn training, LinkedIn, whatever it is. So I need to use that. So it's for you. What is it for you? What are people actually searching for? And
so saying that people used to call me the PR marketing go-to, well, they still do, PR marketing go-to girl. So that's in my LinkedIn profile. That's my introductory title is that's what I do before I even mention the number of businesses that we do.
Yeah. 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 So it's owning, so if people, owning what people say about you as well, as long as it's clear and it's, using
brand.
the right keywords. Absolutely. So you want your headline to help you get found and people to understand what you do. And then you've got your summary. So this is this next box down here. Now, previously, before LinkedIn updated, you could see the whole summary in full. You've got 2,000 characters. Now they've made this change. So it's very similar to, desktop is very similar to mobile. So on mobile, you've got about 60 characters. On desktop, you've got about 200 characters, depending on the words. So the first 2 lines then become critical because not everybody's going to click this see more link. People are busy, we're scanning. So if you start with, I'm the #1 best-selling blah, 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 it's all about you. You've kind of not spoken to your audience particularly. So I always advise clients to start with a question around the problem you solve, or even it could be a statement, but then tell people how to contact you straight away, because while there's contact information on your profile, so to the right, you can see all this contact fields here. Your email and phone number are only visible to your first level connections. So we need to be connected. So if I'm on LinkedIn to be found by ideal clients, which most people in business are, you want to get rid of the barrier. So rather than having to connect to me before you can find out, all my contact details, I put it up front, because that way, if people are looking, they go, oh, there's a phone number. Now they can ring me straight away. Yep. And that is in compliance with LinkedIn's terms. You can do that. There's no issue with doing that. So I would certainly recommend your first 2 lines, position yourself, tell people what to do, and tell people how to get in touch with you and the problem you solve. And then hopefully you've inspired them to click see more and find out more about you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so.
Sure. So your summary is probably the hardest piece to write in your profile. I mean, you've got 2,000 characters to write about yourself, essentially. Now, who loves writing about themselves?
Nope.
I mean, it's tricky. And that's why I offer that service for clients. So I write profiles for people. I've got my beautiful copywriter, Monique, who does a lot of the actual writing itself. But we stalk and research you, find out your brand, find out how you write about yourself, and write the piece for you. But you can do it yourself. And I've created a 7-step summary formula to sort of walk you through how to write it easily. To say, and I'm happy to share that with everybody. I've got a LinkedIn profile blueprint. It comes with everything I do, but I'm happy to share that with everybody, because I believe in giving people a head start and giving it a go yourself. And then when you get stuck, that's when you come back to me and go, Jo, help.
Why didn't that work? I need to make that work.
And also, some people love writing. So if you love writing content and copy, you're going to find this easy. But if you struggle writing about yourself, it's a challenge.
Now, one big tip. Bear in mind that writing about yourself isn't something that has to come naturally. You can hire at experts to do it. And like, I've got a team of copywriters too. Jo knows it. I get my girls to write my stuff because my personal profiles, even when it's written in the first person, because it's easier for them to do it than to me to sit there for 25 minutes and try and pick my own brain to work out what I want to say about myself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and writing about yourself, you just either sound like, oh, it's really uncomfortable, and it just sounds wanky. If I can say that. I've said it, so I've said it now.
We've been there and done that together. We've looked at a piece.
But you mentioned something that is worth noting. Think about your LinkedIn profile. Your profile is person to person. We're connecting with an individual. Now, how we talk to each other, we're having a conversation. As soon as you write in third person, you've stepped out of that conversation. And it just sounds weird. So unless you do actually talk about yourself in third person regularly, don't write your profile in third person. That's my best advice for you. And LinkedIn actually have advised you that way as well.
Yep.
But unfortunately, you'll see some people, especially some of the industry leaders, it's all written in third person. Jo's #1 this, Jo's an expert this, because it is easier to talk yourself up in third person, because it looks like
easier to copy and paste the profiles you've got written for everywhere else.
Absolutely. And as a starting point, sure, get your bio from your website that could be third person and use that, but then just first personalize it. That's the thing, first personalizing. Yep. There's probably a term for that, but that's what we're going to call it today.
We don't know
there
what
is.
Today.
That's our word of the day. So yeah. So here's a couple of examples of summaries. Now, obviously the summary, you've got to click see more to see the full thing. So you've got to inspire people, but you've got A and B. I always use this as an example. Which one visually would you read? A or B?
B.
B. Why, Linda? Why would you read B?
I will naturally flow to statistically proven the eye will flow to broken up paragraphs more than it will flow to a paragraph that's all together.
Yes, yes. So LinkedIn's got no formatting. You can't do much with it. There's no bold, underline, there's no italics, there's no colors, there's no fonts you can change, except in your own browser. So you kind of stuck with what LinkedIn gives you. So if you just dump, you know, the text as in A, it's just not readable. I mean, it might have all the keywords there for findability, but it's just not readable. So yeah, using white space is your friend. And the only thing you can really do in terms of formatting is using capital letters to make, you know, titles, little headlines. So don't write whole paragraphs in capital letters because that's shouting. Big no-no. But use it to, you know, to sort of segment your copy. And you can also use symbols to make bulleted lists. Like this example, there aren't any, but if you look at my profile, I use those little chevrons. I love them. They're so cute. They just become part of what I do, part of my brain. So I use those to create a little list. So, and as a side, feel free to look at my profile and see what I do.
Yeah.
I ran a workshop, a presentation recently in person, and I told the audience that, you know, I follow all my own trainings, but feel free to go to my profile and just copy what I do. I didn't mean copy word for word though, but one person took it word for word and inserted, you know, what she does where I do, you know, because she doesn't do what I do. And this is within 24 hours. And I went to her, looked at her profile, and went, wow, so I sent her a message and said 10 points for implementation. Not quite what I meant, but well done. You know, how can you be annoyed with someone when they've actually taken action? So, you know.
And they took action. It's just we hadn't explained it, not copy word for word.
No, they took me literally, which is awesome. But with your summary also, I've said start with contact information. So in this case, she's a real estate agent. She's got her phone number there, office number. And then she ends with email address and her mobile number. So it's just a nice way of checking, because the first bit's visible up front to anybody scrolling. The second lot of contact info is only going to be visible for people who actually click see more. So you can kind of check who's reading what and telling people what to do. So that's just a quick tip.
Call to action.
Yeah. So if you want my blueprint, which includes a 7-step summary formula, I'll share it with you, Linda, and you can distribute it. Yep. I'm happy to do that.
We'll pop it in the replay docs, guys, when we put the replay onto the site. So it'll be all there ready for you to go and get.
Yeah. So use it. Just don't copy my IP.
Be nice, play nicely.
Yeah. But use it to build your profile, because like I say, if you can go and do it yourself, awesome. I'll be happy. I love action takers, and share with me and say, look, I've implemented, and I'll be very excited.
Joe, I think we might do like we did with Thinkific. When we did with the webinar with Thinkific, we had a show us your course thread. We might do a show us your LinkedIn thread inside the BBB group too.
Absolutely.
So we'll do a post, and Joe and I will be there, and we can come in and have a bit of fun. You can show us all your profiles. So that'd be exciting to see what action's been taken from today.
Absolutely. And then, you know, for those who are competitive, you know, whoever's in first, actually the first person to post their profile updates in this thread when it started gets a copy of my book mailed to them, a hard copy.
Ooh,
how about that?
Yeah, you want a copy of that, because I'm reading the book now and it's got me in it.
There you go. If you want a copy of my book, and I'm going to mail it to you for no cost, first person to do that who's actually done something with their profile, post it in the group.
Give me, guys, I'm going to say to you, give me till 12:30 to get that post.
So after that, so you can in the background do a bit of work and let us know. And also it's good to use the community to get some feedback, because while sometimes you're too close to your brand, but people around you may know you better in some way, or know you from an external. So get some feedback. So if you've created a headline for yourself, or maybe you've got 3 photos to choose from, get someone to help you.
Yeah.
Actually, and just for a bit of a ninja tip, if you do, people love to give opinions, particularly on LinkedIn. So if you want to get going with using LinkedIn, if you posted a post with like 3 photos and said, which photo should I use? You will get engagement. Potentially.
Beautiful.
It's just, people just love to share their opinions. So I've seen that go viral a few times when people do that sort of thing. So just moving down your profile, now we've got the experience section. So this is where you get to tell your backstory, and your experience is, all your roles. You've got education and volunteering. Now, one thing I want to mention here, because this often comes up, particularly with solopreneurs who think, well, yeah, I've got a business name, but why would I have a company page? Now, LinkedIn has company pages, just like Facebook do have business pages, but company pages on LinkedIn are really boring. In comparison, there's no functionality at all. So you think, why would I bother? Now, the reason you want to bother, there's 2 reasons. Firstly, in terms of search, it's going to help you come up in search, keywords, blah, blah, blah. Secondly, on your profile, rather than this horrible gray box here, you'll have your logo. The only way to add your logo to your profile in the experience section is to link to a company page. So if that's the only reason, just for branding purposes, have one. It's free. It's another free place to be found in LinkedIn.
And my other tip, guys, is it's claiming your real estate. It's claiming your business real estate, and you want to do that. You may not use all the social profiles at once, but you want to claim your real estate.
Yeah. And as you grow, I mean, where you are now, you might have plans to grow a team. So this little example here is, you've got your company page in the middle. Maybe you've got 5 staff members, including yourself, and you've all got your own networks. It's just creating a hub for everything. And so, always think to the future and where you're going to be. So, yeah, I'll go into that in more detail in my courses and whatnot. So I won't go too much into company pages for now. Next thing is your social proof. Now, this is really important on your profile. You've got 2 aspects of social proof. So you've got your skills and endorsements. And
this is a really good question, Jo, because I have this with the clients as well. If you've had 30 years working experience with numerous employers, and I used to have this back in my recruiting days too, how far back do you go?
Oh, I always get this question. I love this question. Now, you think about there's a couple of ways of dealing with this. I mean, you could put all the roles on your profile, but some companies may not exist anymore. It doesn't really matter. With a LinkedIn update, what it does now, it shows you the last 5 and the rest go behind the see more link. So whether you have 6 or whether you've got 26, not everybody's going to click see more and read. So it doesn't make your profile as long and convoluted as it used to. So it's not as big a problem. So make sure your most recent 5, are branding you well. But always think about where you are now, even if you've done something completely different. It's part of your unique journey. So you want to tell your story. You don't want to have gaps because there's questions then. Yes. Females, you might have had children, but you might have been in jail. Who knows? But what I've done in my profile, because I started in government initially before I worked out what the hell I was going to do with my life. I fell into government and then I studied later. But I was in accounting roles. Now, accounting roles don't have anything to do with what I'm doing right now. So what I've done is I've got those roles and I've actually clumped them together. Now, I don't recommend doing this a lot, but because those roles are all over the place, not all over the place, but, they're just not relevant and it just makes it really long. So what I've done in the description is I've talked about what I was doing overall, because I was running a business at the same time as being employed and all sorts of stuff. But if you think about your actual roles from the past, don't just list your job description, because that's not really helping you, especially if it's not what you're doing now. Think about the role and think about the transferable skills and the things that you achieved in the role. So so one of my roles, I was the credit controller. So I was the one making all the calls saying you haven't paid your bill, having fun. This is a long, long time ago. But I volunteered to do, I was studying marketing at the time and design, and I volunteered to do the company's catalog. So I talked about that. It wasn't part of my role, but I talked about the fact that I helped them produce their first printed catalog back in the day. Showing my age now. So think about the transferable skills and the things that you're taking forward. So if your role, it was the first role into say a customer service role, but it's not relevant in terms of what you do, think about the actual skills from that, the challenges that you came up against, or something big you achieved. And
exactly.
That things that are going to be interesting. And like I said, it might just be a one-liner for those older roles, but rather than, massive paragraphs. So ditch the job description. It's just not relevant. So does that help?
Yeah, I think it does really well. And look, I have that, it used to come across the line. And yeah, back in the days, it used to drop down and drop down and drop down forever. So it made your profile ridiculous. But guys, doing what used to work, and transferable skills, whether you're a business owner or you're someone looking for work, transferable skills are an amazing thing to keep showing to what you think. Like I say to everyone, I fell into PR and marketing. Similar to you, I went and trained as a teacher, got into teaching and was still working in a call center and marketing and that sort of stuff. So I fell into my career. It's part of what I say makes me love it so much, because I decided to stay. But it's one of those things that I talk about, the transferable skill sets. But I say to everyone on a daily basis, I still use my teaching degree every day.
Yeah.
It's my negotiation skills. It's how to remember names. It's all of that stuff that I use. So they're my transferable skill sets from my training I did 20 plus years ago.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, because you do training now as well, and it's a similar skill set. So if you sit down and look at what you've done in the past. Now, one thing I added to my profile a few years ago, I've always run a business. I've always been entrepreneurial, but I didn't make much money. So I didn't really see it as a business. But for 7 years, I ran a pen frame club. Now, it was more of a fun thing. I wanted to have my own newsletter, so I did. I had hundreds of members around the world. It was all print. I used to photocopy the newsletter. It was even cut and glued. It was really a hack job. And I didn't see it as anything to do with my career. But then when you sort of sit and look back, I go, hang on a minute, connecting the dots. That was all about helping people connect around the world. Events are all about helping people connect and learn. What I do now is all about helping people connect. So it's the same thing. So it's on my profile because it's part of my story. It's quite unique. And someone else who does what I do doesn't have my journey. So that's my differentiator, the fact that I come from an events background. So I've organized conferences around Australia. I run a pen frame club, bit different. So, and the other things I've chosen to put in my profile and feature, the other stuff, the government accounting stuff, I've sort of grouped together, and feel free to look at my profile and click see more, and you'll see what I've done. I spent 1 month working for a digital movie company. I actually worked on the Stuart Little movie, converting it to 3D.
Charlotte would love you right now.
But it was the most boring job ever. I was studying graphic design, and this job came up, and I thought, wow, that's cool working, and I can work from home. But it was just tedious. And it was boring as, you know what? And I just thought, you know what, this is not for me. So it's in my profile because it's something interesting. But these little things way back when in the profile, they're behind see more. So people have to click to see them. If they mention something in those roles, I know they've clicked see more. So if they mention, I used to work on I once worked on the Stuart Little movie, I know that they've stalked me and they've clicked see more. It's not mentioned anywhere else. The other thing to mention is your older roles. You could say something in reverse. So always be authentic. But in that description, I've said before social media was a thing, or before I did LinkedIn training, blah, 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 blah. So I'm using keywords in reverse. So I'm not doing the whole keyword stuffing, but I'm actually talking about what I do now and being completely honest, saying before I did this, I did this. So that's how you can use it.
Works well.
Yeah.
Hope that answers your question, Mark.
So then going on to endorsements. So you've got skills on your profile. You can have up to 50, and I certainly recommend having them. For a while, LinkedIn were pushing the endorsements. I called it the bossy blue box. It would sit on your profile and go, do you want to endorse Joe for these things before you even know me? And I'd say, no, don't do it. But skills are important in terms of being found, and endorsements are signals to qualify for you for the search and whatnot, but don't put too much effort into it in terms of weight when you're looking at somebody. But make sure that your 3 that are featured, so this example, accounting, tax, income tax, are the 3 featured. Make sure your top 3 are things that relate to exactly what you do, because you want to be, as someone scrolling down your profile, you want them to know what value you offer. So if I had event management, I've got skills in my profile that from my previous, if there were the 3 things at the top of my profile, because I've been endorsed most for, doesn't help me. You can move them around. So make sure that you feature things that you actually want to be known for and endorse for, because as you're scrolling down someone's profile, the 3 things you see you're more likely to endorse them for.
Exactly.
And also ask. So this is another area you can use the BBB group. If you're looking to build up your social proof, and people in the community, if you're active, people know what you're good for, so to speak, ask for endorsements. So if you do PR, ask for endorsements on PR.
Now, quick question from Lynette. What do you do about endorsements from people you haven't actually worked with?
Well,
good topic.
That's a really good one. So to be endorsed, you need to be connected to the person. Yeah. So I can't endorse Bob I'm not connected to. I can only endorse Lynette because I'm connected. But if I've never seen Lynette do the thing she claims to do, but I've endorsed her anyway. Some people do that because they want you to endorse them back. It's that whole, well, if I endorse you, you'll be nice to me, and we're all happy.
And I had a period where I wasn't active on LinkedIn and I was getting endorsed for stuff. I'm like, seriously, people? I'm taking a break. Give me a rest.
And that's because LinkedIn were highly pushing it at one point. But even now, like I could go to Lynette's profile and endorse her for something she's got on her profile, but I've never seen her do the thing. That's not authentic, and I don't believe don't do that. You can hide people.
Are damaging their own reputation in that one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Hide them. Hide your endorsements if there are people. So, for example, in this example, accounting, I can see that endorsed by Charles and 5 others. Say Charles is someone I think, oh, you've never seen me do accounting. Yep. I can actually go when I'm in the edit area. I can hide him.
Awesome.
So if you're connected to Bob, and Bob's a bit of a, you know, lad about town, a bit dodgy, and he endorses everybody for everything, and you don't want him on your brand, but you are connected for whatever reason, you can remove him from your brand. So you've got that control.
I got some editing to do today.
So just play around in edit mode, and you can drag the skills around and rearrange them. So just so you know for what you do.
Awesome tip.
The other one in terms of social proof, and this has got a lot more weight, is actual recommendations, which are written testimonials. Now I've done LinkedIn training for 6-7 years now, and I teach people how to do recommendations, but I wasn't asking for them directly, because I just think I've just taught you how to do them. You'll recommend me because I'm awesome. People don't do that. You have to actually ask for them. So building into your process, when you've delivered your service, you know, they're at the peak of excitement, we'll call it, ask for a recommendation, ask specific questions to get the recommendation that you want that's useful. Otherwise, you might get something quite vague, like, Joe's a great LinkedIn trainer. That's just too vague. I mean, yeah, it says what I do, but you want to know exactly what. So I always ask when I do training and presentations. So I spoke at the Australian VA conference earlier this year. Kathy was one of the attendees. It's quite well known in the industry. She's been around for a long time. So I had to ask her for a recommendation. I asked her 3 questions, which she wrote. Now, one thing I do want to ask, I give people a tip. I actually tell them to start with as a blah, 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 or something around yourself to position yourself first, because people will see this. So if they just talk about me, that's lovely. But to help yourself, I could say, as a LinkedIn expert, it's really important to have good PR. So I highly recommend Linda, blah, 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 blah. So I've actually positioned myself. I've actually qualified what I do in the conversation. So it's just a nice way to ask.
Oh, well, I'll make sure I put that in your recommendation later on today.
And feel free to, recommend me if you like, if you enjoy this session. Wasn't
definitely, guys,
planning on saying that, but also you can give them to people. Like once a month, I like to express gratitude. It sounds a bit fluffy and airy fairy, but I think who in my network have I really appreciated? I think it's nice to thank people, and this is a nice way to thank people.
An awesome way to do that.
Yeah. So if someone's just helped you out, they've delivered something awesome for you. Thank them publicly, because it's going to help them. And what happens then, you get that whole pay it forward effect. Yeah, you're not doing it to get one back, because if I give one to Linda, but Linda's never worked with me, so I'm not going to expect anything back, because that's not authentic. But you might then think, oh, who can I thank? And there's that chain effect. So
chain the cycle.
Hey, and the final part of your profile is accomplishments, and these are the extra things that add some weight. So things like courses you've done, certifications, publications. You speak another language. Now, if you look at my languages, I've got English, LinkedIn, and Yorkshire. Now, clearly, only one of those is an actual language. So I'm being a bit cheeky here. But I'm saying I speak the language of LinkedIn, just for fun. So, and Yorkshire is a dialect within England. I'm from Yorkshire. So, and my husband can't understand me when I go back into my Yorkshire speak. So it's a bit of fun. So this is where I'm adding a bit of my brand and my personality. So if someone says, oh, I see you speak Yorkshire, I know they've read to the bottom of my profile. So it's a bit of a little Easter egg as well. And so any project you're involved with. So if you've written a book can be a project. A publication can be a book. It can be a blog. It can be an interview. So, you can link to anything. I've got lots of
work to do today, haven't I?
Sorry.
This section I've neglected. See, I told you guys I don't do everything. I cope with what I can.
And just do things that are going to add to your brand and add to your credibility. So that's the profile in a nutshell. I'm just conscious of time, so I'm just going to mention a couple of other things before we end up. So once you've built your profile, the other thing people focus on is, how many connections have I got? It's not about the connections. It is and it isn't. You need to build, consistently build your network, but don't connect to every man and his dog, because not everybody is going to add value to your network. LinkedIn works 3 degrees deep. So Linda and I are first level connections. If Linda's connected to Lynette, but I'm not, Lynette becomes my second, and Lynette's connected to Mark. So Mark's my 3rd level connection. Now, the reason this is super important, and more so than Facebook actually, because it's person to person. I share an update. Linda may or may not see it, but Linda is, could engage with it. So if I share the update, Linda makes a comment, Lynette may see that comment in her newsfeed now. And then Lynette may then go, oh, I'm going to add a comment here. Mark may see it. So I'm 3 degrees from Mark, but Mark's invited almost through the network. So that's why the network's really important in LinkedIn. because you reach so many people.
Yes.
So it's super important. LinkedIn is a search engine, you know, it's a database. So use it to find the right people, which is why your first impression counts. And
the next question is, do you disconnect? She has a lot of recruiters from her corporate days. She's not interested in being headhunted anymore. I did. I disconnected from those who didn't suit my network anymore.
Yeah. Now, one thing I wouldn't do, you probably see this on Facebook quite a lot, saying, I'm doing a spring clean of my connections. Will you make the cut? Don't do that on LinkedIn. It just, people don't generally,
do it on Facebook.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Quietly do it. Yeah.
We've got one more. What if you have different businesses with subcategories, i.e. my 5, Linda's come up with. So Linda's suggesting, so I focus, Linda, on my particular ones. My profile in my little description actually covers all 3 of them, because that's quite often what people are searching for when they're looking for me. They're either searching for business, or media connections, or ThoughtSpot PR. The other ones I leave in that Clive box over there and make him look after those ones.
And that's a good one, because you're quite active in those 3 spaces, and they kind of overlap somewhat. But I had someone recently, he's just studied as a project manager, so he's looking for a project management job, but he owns a day spa with his wife, and he you know said, do I put that on my profile? It depends on what you want to be known for. If that's a business you're quietly doing, I mean, these days many people have multiple things in their pies, but it depends on if you're in one business, you've got you own another. It could show that you're a good business person, or it might just distract. So you've got to be understanding what you want to achieve from LinkedIn, which is why I started with that. Yeah. But these days, we do many things. I think you can do, and feel free to, like I said, to look at my profile, is if you do multiple things in your own business. So for me, if I think about what I do, so I do training and speaking. I'm an author now. I've got a book, and I do consulting. So I've actually got 3 separate roles in my business on LinkedIn, and I've done that strategically because there's 3 sets of data in terms of search, 3 reasons to recommend me. I can have 3 sets of media. So it just makes sense. You could put it all in one role, but also when you've got those 5 roles and your experience, it means 3 of those 5 are me and my business.
And Karen,
Yeah. So if you're putting yourself out there as a speaker, or a professional speaker particularly, you want to separate that out, or an author, because that way people know you for that particular thing. So I hope that makes sense. Awesome. Now, just talking about connecting. So in terms of how you connect, I just wanted to finally finish up here. On desktop, you'll see the big connect button. Makes sense. Hit it, get this little box. Always, always, always add a note. Otherwise, it's like going up to someone at a networking event, handing them your business card and walking away without saying a word. We don't do that. So even just to say, I enjoyed your webinar, or I heard you speak, or I read your article, something, add some context. Always say why you're connecting. Even if you're even if you're in a physical conversation, they may not check LinkedIn for a week and forget who you are. So just remind them.
I met you at such and such.
And I've left this slide because I use this in presentations, but when I do a live presentation, I get people to pick up their mobile and find me, or find somebody in the room they want to connect to. Now, most people would use on mobile this connect button, and this is where LinkedIn's mobile app is annoying. This is one feature that really needs fixing. I know. The connect button just goes default message, which is not useful. You want to look for the 3 dots or more, depending on what you've got. I think some of those Windows devices now have more, but look for 3 dots. They used to be at the top here. They've been here, and they've been down here. If you click on the 3 dots, then go to personalized invitation, and it's so I love that sound. That's always the sound I get when I show. It's like, that's where it is. And there's a lot of shortcuts to help, if you want to have template of messages and whatnot. But even just to say hi, great to chat to you about blah blah blah.
Lynette saying thank you. I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I think I spent months looking for that thing.
So there's 3 dots. I think they're called ellipses. That's a formal name for them. Just look for them, or if there's a more option. It used to be a little triangle menu. There's always hidden menus in LinkedIn. It makes it fun.
Menu off to the side, guys. That's the big tip for today.
Yeah, use that one.
Find the hidden menu.
So here's just my top 5 mistakes I see common. So like I said, surname field, having those extra things like your tagline, writing in 3rd person, just not engaging, just talking at people, not with them. Outsourcing. If you're going to use a VA, and I actually do have a LinkedIn for VAs program, so I train VAs on how to use LinkedIn for their clients, because I think that's a very important thing to do. But if you outsource to an offshore VA and you haven't briefed them, you've got no processes, they're just going to spam your connections pretty much. And people, your network are going to know it's not you. I've seen so many people do that. So learn it for yourself, create your processes, work out what your personality is, and then, and templated messages, and then go and outsource it. Don't be spammy. Actually, one thing not to do, we have the Spam Act, we have a LinkedIn user agreement. A lot of people will take their connections on LinkedIn, export them, put them into MailChimp.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, because it's bad. It's rude, and
it's a breach of multiple acts.
It is. And people think it's okay, and it's just not. So don't ever do that. Do back up your connections though, and do back up your profile, because that's useful. And being inactive and out of date. I mean, having that old photo from the 80s where you've got blue, blue makeup and all that sort of stuff. And do use LinkedIn. Do actually go into LinkedIn and actually start using it and looking for these indicators, the low-hanging fruit. Check your messages, your notifications, your incoming network requests, and then start engaging in the newsfeed and getting this so people know you and know what you're about.
And I love the LinkedIn mobile app. I most probably use that more than anything else, because it allows me to do a 5-minute check while I'm grabbing a cup of coffee or I'm doing something, or my laptop needs to recharge because I've happened to let the battery run dead. So it allows me to stay connected. So as my girls say to me, while you're in recovery, Linda, are you going to be on social media? I'm like, yeah, of course I am, because it's going to be oh my God, I need to keep connected with the world somehow.
And the app's great. It's just got so much more usable than it used to be. The fact that desktop and the app are sort of a lot, fairly on the same path, apart from that stupid connection feature that the mobile app needs to fix. Now, I just want to quickly run through an example of how you can use social media, LinkedIn with your social media. So say your ideal client is a law, say a law firm. You want to be working with a law firm for some reason, I don't know. So what you'd start with is looking them up on LinkedIn. You might do a search for law firms within a particular area in this industry, find the people you want to work with, look at their profiles, leave that footprint behind so they know you're looking at them. That's a good thing in this case. Then you might look at you might follow them on LinkedIn, like their company page. You might look at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those other platforms, follow them there, gain that intelligence around them, get that context. You might like or comment on some of their activities somewhere. And then at some point you're going to connect to them. They actually may reach out to you if you looked at them as well and you're engaging. But then if you take the lead to connect to them with some conversation, that context, because you can now say, loved your article about blah, 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 or I really agree with your comment on blah, blah, blah. You're going to make more of an impact if you do that. If they don't respond to that message, then you can send them a welcome message, and you can create your own templates around this. But introduce yourself, but without being salesy. Ask some questions, start the conversend going.
And Jo, you've got courses around that process too, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I do live workshops and online programs, but just it's about standing out and connecting. Engage with their activity. So you can stalk them and look at their, what are they sharing publicly in a nice way, stalking. But engage with them. Where can you add value? Share their content if it's relevant to your audience, because it's that whole, paying it forward. And at some point you're going to actually now reach out, whether it be an email, a phone call, a coffee meeting, depending on how you work and where they are. But you've now shortened the process. You've put yourself on their map, and you can now build a relationship. And if you've branded yourself well with your profile, you're going to stand out from the other lawyer down the road, or the other, financial planner, or whatever it is you do. So what's next, just to finish off? So I've talked about when I started, it's all about being found, remembered, and chosen. So to be found, you've got to optimize your profile, have a connection and content strategy, and an engagement plan, and being consistent. So, and having the courage to actually get out there and do it. So Linda asked me if I could put together a special for you guys, because that's what, special offer. And
part of the time, you guys giving up your time, we want to get our experts to give you a special offer to do something a bit further with all of this.
Yeah. Now, as Linda said, I've got online programs.
This is an awesome deal.
Now, I've never done this before. I just thought, what can I do that's special for you guys? So I do these LinkedIn profile review videos where I look at your video. It's about 20 minutes. And actually, I say 20 minutes. Usually it's half an hour, because I've just, I go, oh, you can do this and do this. I give you feedback via recording, so you can watch it at your time, and I can do it in my pajamas whenever I like, if I'm honest. And I mean, that's the price. And then I've got many online programs, but I've got the profile building course, which gets you started. So they're the prices individually. And
Jo, can you pop that link into the chat box for everyone too, please?
I sure can. I'll do that in a minute because I've got my full screen open. Yeah. So that's $99 for both. So if you do it via that link, you just buy the LinkedIn profile review, but then send me a message saying BBB, and I know then that, yeah, that's all packaged, and I'll add you to the course as well. Because it's about getting started. So, if I give you some feedback on what's missing right now, and then you go through the course and, get it done. So it's all together. So then, that's what you'll see on the page. So it's the one on the left, the video review package. So you get the 20-minute video, which could be half an hour, the profile blueprint checklist and all that sort of stuff. But if you want if you're just like, this is too hard, I don't have time for this, I just want you to do it, then I actually write profiles for people as well. So, I've got the whole do with you, do for you, and what was the other one? DIY. Do it yourself. Sorry. Yeah, or you can just do it yourself. With help. So that's the link. So I'll put the link in the box. But yeah, and here's my details. Feel free to connect with me. Obviously, LinkedIn's a good place to connect. But if you want to actually converse with me privately, do it via email. It's just easier. I don't like LinkedIn direct messages are a bit clunky, and I get a lot of them, and it's like a big box of mail. It's really hard to manage. So it's always better that I always take conversations to email because it's just easier. Or you can pick up the phone and talk to me because that's always fun.
Fantastic. Jo, thank you for joining us today. I honestly appreciate the tips and the information you've shared. I know I've got work to do. I know members of my team and my client base will be sitting here and be going, okay, so we need to action those points within your profile. And I do thank you on behalf of all of our members from their, we've got people already updating their profiles. So Lynette said, thank you. She's updating her publications now. So that is awesome. Guys, I do thank you for joining us for the BBB Skills webinar. This is our last skills webinar for the year because I need to go and take a couple of months break. We will be back in 2018, and the first one we've got booked is with Ben from Missing Letter. He's going to show us some of the new features that they're working on. There's some pretty cool stuff happening there, and how we can actually make more of our blogs in 2018 by using a tool called Missing Letter. Now, I can't tell you how much this tool has saved me in absolute time. I love it. It helps my brain. Everything works well. Jo, once again, thank you for joining us. We are going to wrap up, guys.
And Missing Letter works really well with LinkedIn. I'm loving it.
Loving. Oh, yeah, because you were on the first webinar. Yeah.
I was. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is great. So yeah, and it's now become part of my online course and training.
That was one of our first skills webinars. Can you believe it?
Brilliant.
So these webinars, I really have enjoyed doing them. We'll bring you more tools, more tips in 2018. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions, Jo and I will be around in the group today, and I will have that LinkedIn profile thread up within the next 20 minutes or so for you to be able to get in and comment and share with us. Thank you, Jo.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a good day.